Good afternoon, friends. I hope you're well. Today's video, we're covering Dexscreener, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to focus on a beginner's guide. We're going to look at all the features it has, how to use them, and how to get the best out of the platform. So as you know, or you may or may not know, we use Dexscreener to look at tokens charts. Typically, most tokens are on here. If they have no volume, they're not listed on here. So if you've just launched a token, no one's brought and sold it, won't show up. Everything either works off pairs, so liquidity pairs, or it works off of contracts and the name of the token. So for example, we've got a contract address of Moodang. We will copy it into here, and we will show our token. You're probably thinking, why are all of these if it's only one token? These are different liquidity pools. I won't go into what liquidity pools are in this video, but we're just showcasing it. Basically, these guys are earning fees, they're providing liquidity, and it's from there. You can also type the name of the token in here. Now, I would always advise using the contract itself rather than the name. Now, this is self-explanatory. Most people are familiar with this. Now, what you can do to make the most out of the platform, you can buy and sell. I would advise using a trading bot. There's a link to one in the description. You can use that. You can also add it to your watch list. So I've already got Moodang on my watch list. You can make different watch lists. That's really helpful because you can go over to your watch list and you've got everything in here, or what you're watching on here. And you don't have to be signed in. So you can just basically anything you want to watch, you're holding, just add it to your watch list. And when you come back, you can always look at it. The other feature you can use is alerts. You have to enable notifications. So if you click it for the first time, a blue box will pop up here and say, would you like to enable notifications? So let's say I want to be alerted when Moodang goes to 3 cents. Allow to create that alert. You can also add a note, or if it drops under. So we can say, if Moodang drops to, 15 cents, I want an alert to go out. And you can edit and adjust from there. You can also see your alerts here when you trigger it. So this is really good if you want to be notified if a token dumps, dips, whatever. It's totally up to you. Now you have your watch list alerts. There is also the multi-chart feature, which is really good. I typically use it when I'm watching coins. As you can see, all of these are going up really beautifully. And you can add and subtract tokens like so. So you can obviously add the space in, create high, add some more columns, and you can add more tokens in there and manage everything from there. So you can have a main tab, or we can make a new one, and then we can add charts very easily like so. So you can just copy Moodang in, and we'll add it to a chart like so. Moodang's already there, so it didn't add it, but you get the idea. Now, sometimes you will be using is obviously what chain. We'll focus on Solana for this one. We can go for new pairs. Now, new pairs are typically less than 24 hours old, sometimes a bit more, and it shows you default what is trending. What is trending means they've had a boost, which is a paid boost. Typically, these don't perform well long term. They typically only, because it's very expensive, when tokens just launch and the revenue's coming in, people tend to spend boosts. We can filter these on, so we can only have tokens that are boosted. If you're into, I would say, if you're into day trading, quick flip, scalping, boosted will be good for you. Like there'll always be volume and volatility on these charts. So you can obviously buy here, it'll bump up, and then you'll sell like so. Now, obviously we want tokens with more than 1K liquidity. And you can select ones with profiles. That means they're paid to have their profiles updated, like so. But really and truly, we want ones with ads as well. You can have a look. So these ones are actually basically actively marketing. They're boosted, they're running ads, and typically these ones will be doing a little better. Now, you can see from this one, it's pretty much rubbed. So it doesn't necessarily mean, don't use it as, okay, this one's going to do well because it's boosted and they've paid for ads. I wouldn't do that. Basically, you're better off just using the default and working out your own filters. If you want, you can just go after organic filters, have a look through the list like so. So let's take, for example, funny enough, I saw this one very low, which is a bit annoying. So we can go off this one. I don't know why it's called useless. Wow, it's doing really well. 16 million market cap, but very low liquidity. So some things you have to pay attention to. On the right is obviously the price is irrelevant because it's based on the supply. But what we're interested in is the market cap and the liquidity. Excuse me, the liquidity means how much you can actually take from the token. How much money is in the box or the pot? How much has everyone put in? Which has made the value of these tokens go up. Understanding liquidity is a bit more complex, but keep an eye on it. Always glance at it very quickly, and also glance at the volume. You can switch food hourly as well, but I'm just trying to show you how I use Dexscreener. Here's an example of one of the ads we saw earlier running, and you can click here to open Radium to trade, and it's a bit easier. There is more, I think, less fees if you actually buy from there, and here is irrelevant, the most irrelevant thing. People can just click it, and now I've boosted my token. Could not react, I don't know why, but anyway. So another helpful feature it has is it's got the search feature here. So we can search the ticker, I think the ticker's too long, or we can search the contract. This is also very helpful when you're actually looking at tokens in terms of how is the activity on the token. So you can click top, see who's one of the top guys, so he's got a large following, who's actually talking about it. Click latest. This is just basic, very basic, do your own research in terms of a token itself. Now, how I use Dexscreener is very different. So if we go over to Solana, I would not be interested personally in looking at any of these. I make myself familiar with some of these coins, but have a glance at it. But the main thing I do is two things. So the first one I'm going to show you is the custom tabs. So depending on your preference, let's say, for example, you like to only buy large coins, you would put the market cap at, I don't know, above 10 million. And filter that out. So you can save these settings if you want, and it will always be like that. So you're not attracting the new small tokens, you're only buying the larger ones. Now, what I typically do, this is a personal preference, I like older tokens. So anything above a month or 3 months old, I like and I buy. I hold these ones, I liquidity farm it. That's what I do. Now, you've got this option. Now, excuse me, if you've got a small portfolio and you're looking to grow and you don't mind hype tokens and you want to get a quick flip, then typically you would just obviously reset these. I would advise going over to the last 5 minutes and sorting it by volume. This will indicate which tokens have the most volume in a short amount of time. Typically, these will show up here first, and then they would start to go out to other trading bots. So, for example, this one, Zoe, stands out to me. They've paid for their profile, and we're going to have a little look. So it's obviously rugged. Let's have a look at this one. So you can find good gems on here, and this is probably the best feature of. This looks very scammy. A lot of these you got to be really, really careful with. If you're not familiar with how to assess a token in terms of, okay, this one is not looking as good, then I wouldn't obviously buy it. And this token's, 49 minutes old, it's already rugged, same with this one. So you got to be very careful. In fact, you might want to look at tokens and filter this and say, I want tokens that are maybe 100 hours old and see what he's actually doing well. So we've got Chill Guy Filecoin. Why is it bumping? Why is there a little volume? Why is there 700k volume or etc.? And you might want to look at these tokens as a whole. Now, the other features we've got on Solana is pretty much the filters tab, and you've got trending, you've got ascending, you've got 5 minutes. These ones I don't use typically too much. Now, you can sort by pair age, you can sort by boost, market cap. Probably not liquidity, that wouldn't be the best one. Now, it does have a preference of actual, chains, and you can have a look at these. But when you click a chain, what you want to assess is what's the volume, how many transactions, and also you can look at every single chain and you can see, excuse me, how they're doing as a whole. Every single chain pretty much works all the same. But again, we're focusing on Solana. Now, the other features that you need to be aware of are top traders. Now, what this shows is how well or how profitable most people have done. So, for example, we've got our transaction. You can see where this person bought in, for example, or sold. So this guy's been selling for the last 23 minutes, 24/7 minutes. And we've just filtered here. Now, let's say we've got someone's wallet. So let's just copy this out. Let's say you've got someone's wallet, or you found the wallet, or your own wallet. You can see when you brought in. So you can just copy your wallet here. And then you can see your buys and sells, and you can see if you're actually in profit. That's probably one of the better features on Solana, on Dexscreener, I would say. Now, feature-wise as well, you can go through top traders. This is quite valuable, but don't be bogged down on the numbers. A lot of people will say, oh, this guy brought 125. It will assess it differently. It's not 100% accurate. Or if someone took an airdrop, it doesn't show. This also shows front-run bots. So, for example, this guy's done 13,000 transactions. Highly unlikely. It's more likely a front-run bot that has been buying and selling. So you could probably assess it from looking at a chart long-term. But this guy's buying every single minute. It's likely to be a bot that is front-running, excuse me, or an exchange that is using the liquidity on Moodang. So when someone buys from their order book or withdraws, it will come to the DEX and buy the token, which I won't go into too much details in. Top traders, I do not use, I just glance very quickly. You can look at one day and see how well people are doing. So this guy sold 1 million worth of profit. Anyway, so we've got also our liquidity providers. I wouldn't look too much on it on Solana. You could just check, is it burnt? That's probably the best thing to look at. This does take a while to update as well. Bubble maps is another feature that's built in. So this is a third-party tool, and it will show you how well the token's basically established, or who controls what supply. Typically, when you look at this, you might think, oh, someone holds a 9% supply of Moodang. That's worth, 90 million. Typically, that's an exchange wallet, or it could just be a large holder or a protocol with all the supply in there. So it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, there's one guy holding that much. It could be, but typically these are probably like highest transfer volume. It's probably a bot or it's an exchange, like I said. Again, we got the hold account, so you can look at this. It might not be as good on Moodang because a lot of these top holders are actually exchanges. Maybe if you click over to SoScan over here, which we'll show you later on. We'll show you now, actually. You can actually go to SoScan and you can check holders. Typically, they do so a Bitfub hot wallet, Gate.io. So these are the ones that are actually doing this, and you can, excuse me, dive deep into the wallet and see how it's doing. So is this a holder? I don't know. We can look at the transfers and we can look at DeFi activity as well. So it could be actually a holder, I don't know. Or if you want, you could Google it and find out. Sometimes it will tell you. So it looks like it might be a holder, I don't know. Holders. Yeah. Holder category, profit and loss. So this guy's obviously brought in quite a bit, but I could be wrong. It's hard to tell. But you want to look at the holder count, and let's say you want to have a look and see, where does this guy buy it? Now, Moodang's an older token, so if this guy brought here, it will only show the last 30 days. So let's clear that. Excuse me. And you can just go on and you can basically click a holder and see when they're brought in. Usually it just shows a little buy, sell, sell, and move from there. The other things you want to look at is the explore part, which we did touch on and we did click as well. So you could go over here and you can look more detailed into it. You could check out CoinGecko, CMC. From here, it's quite helpful. It has everything built in. You could check analytics as well, just to see what the transfer rates are and stuff. If you want to look at it and look deep into a token, you're welcome to do that. And this pretty much shows you, but I think Dexscreener does a good job at, you don't really need to click SoulScan, you can kind of make out. And we've got helpful links up here. But Dexscreener has a lot of features. And when I started in crypto, we used BSC we used PlueCoin, which was really good. You can connect your wallet, you can buy, you can put really high slippage. And everyone used that for BSC. Afterwards, everyone started to go into Ethereum and everyone used Dex tools. And basically, Dexscreener come along as an independent. And everyone uses Dexscreener because it is the best charting tool out there for crypto. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I wish you all the best and take care.